Are you trying to decide what business entity to form for your online business? Stay tuned because today we're going to be talking about LLCs and corporations and talking about which is better for your online business. Let's do this. Hi, my name is Jim Hart. I'm the founding attorney here at Hawthorn Law, where we help online businesses and small business owners to get their legal house in order so that they can focus on what they do best, and that's building something that truly matters in the world. Today we are talking about an absolutely riveting topic. We're talking about LLCs, corporations, all the differences, all the stuff. This is going to be epic. Oh, and stay tuned to the very end because I got a really big announcement that you're not going to want to miss, so check that out as well. Before I go any further, don't forget, make sure you hit the subscribe button, comment, like, the bell thingy, all the stuff. I'd appreciate it. Let's jump into all the things you need to know about limited liability companies or LLCs and corporations. Let's do this. So let's start with one of the similarities between these two business entities, and that is limited personal liability. This is something that you're going to get from both an LLC and a corporation. You're going to get that liability protection provided you follow all the proper corporate company formalities of the business. If you don't follow those formalities, then you're not going to get that limited liability protection, which I've talked about in another video up here that goes in depth into different ways that companies can pierce the corporate veil. And this is one of the big mistakes that people make, whether they form a corporation or a limited liability company, is they don't operate the company properly, and then the corporate veil can get pierced by creditors of the LLC or the corporation. So whenever I talk about LLCs and corporations in this video, I think what we're going to talk about is just the business entity in general, and just understand that when I say business entity, I'm talking about either or interchangeably. Cool? You got what I'm saying? All right, let's move on. Taxation. That's the number two thing we're going to talk about today. This is a huge issue when you're forming either an LLC or a corporation, and you need to be aware of it because one of the big benefits of forming an LLC is that you can choose how you want to be taxed. If you want to be taxed as a sole proprietor, you can do that. If you want to be taxed as a partnership, you can do that. If you want to be taxed as a corporation, as a C corporation, you can do that. As an S corporation, you can do that. You can do whatever you want. You've got a lot of flexibility in terms of how you can elect to be taxed as a limited liability company. Corporation, on the other hand, not so flexible. With a corporation, you really get two elections. The first one is a C corporation. There's all sorts of issues with being taxed as a C corporation. It's only right for a certain number of people in a very defined grouping. Chances are, for 99% of the general population, it's not going to be the way you want to be taxed. It's just going to cause a logistical nightmare for you. You're going to get double taxation. Yeah, and basically what that means is when you pay tax on the corporate level, and then when you take money out of the corporation, you're going to get taxed again. That's called double taxation. You don't want that. Or you can elect S corporation status, which is also great, but you can do both of those things if you are at a limited liability company. So for that reason, I would say when you're weighing the differences between LLC, corporation, winner here is going to be the LLC when it comes to taxation. Next thing, how is the business entity going to be governed? Every state has a statute that governs how their LLCs are operated and how their corporate entities are operated. It doesn't matter which state you live in, they all have one. What you need to know is, regardless of whether or not you're an LLC or a corporation, you're going to need to have some sort of governing document. And in the case of an LLC, that's going to be what's called an operating agreement. And in the case of a corporation, that's going to be a shareholders agreement or bylaws. These are all names that can be used interchangeably. And what that document is going to do is that's going to tell you how you're going to run the business. And you can put whatever you want in that document, provided it doesn't go against what's in the statute in your state where your business entity is formed. So when it comes down to how that business entity is going to be governed, it's really a toss-up between the two. It doesn't matter. As long as you have that agreement in place, you should be okay. What you don't want is to get into a situation where you don't have an agreement, in which case you have to go by the state statute, and that's the default rules. And for most of you, you're not going to want those default rules. Trust me on that. All right, so if this is making sense so far, I know this is a lot of legal gobbledygook, but if this is making sense to you, just go ahead and type down the bottom, yeah, I get what you're saying. I like to make sure that people understand what I'm talking about and they're really grasping these concepts, because I know for some of you, this can be pretty technical, complicated stuff. And I know I kind of enjoy it, but a lot of people, not so much. They'd rather pay somebody to do it for them. All right, so the next issue that we need to talk about is how to form these entities. When you're talking about either a limited liability company or a corporation, they're going to be formed the same way. Now, the fees may differ. You know what that reminds me? I think you know what I'm doing. And somebody last week posted in the comments that they were really upset that they learned a lot legally, but they didn't get their Ohio State shout out. So go Bucks. There we go. Need some coffee. By the way, it is cold outside. It's January. I hate this time of year. And I live in the South where it doesn't get that cold, but it's cold. It's cold. So formation, let's get back to this. Formation. For an LLC, you're going to file your articles of organization. For your corporation, you're going to file your articles of incorporation. Those are the two basic documents. Those are really important documents too because they contain a lot of information that may bind you at some point later on, and you want to make sure that you put the right information in there. If you would like help setting this up and making sure you do it the right way, we do offer a service. Link up here. All you need to do is set up a call with me for a half hour, and I'll go through everything with you. We'll make sure that we get it all set up the right way the first time, and we're happy to help you with that. So there's that. The last consideration that you need to think about is flexibility. An LLC is incredibly flexible. In other words, you can do a lot of different things with an LLC. One of the big things you can do is you can have one person contribute $1,000 to the LLC and the other person contribute $10,000 to the LLC, and you could still be equal members in the LLC. Versus a corporation, if you do it that way, you're going to divide your shares in proportion to the amount of money that you put into the corporation. That's just one example of how an LLC can be a lot more flexible than a corporation can be. Also, when it comes to all the annual meeting minutes and notices and things like that, and this is a broad generalization. In general, an LLC is just going to be easier to manage than a corporation. A corporation is going to be a lot more stringent and it's going to have a lot more requirements imposed on it. So from that standpoint and from a flexibility standpoint, an LLC is definitely going to win here. So you might be wondering, Jim, well that's all great and good, but so when is it right to set up a corporation as opposed to an LLC? So really, a corporate structure only really truly makes sense if you're looking to get investors, if you're looking to go public at some point, if you're looking for some sort of corporate stock structure that's going to attract key employees to the business, anything like that you need to do that's some outside the ordinary is a situation where you might want to look at a C corporation or just a corporate entity in general. It doesn't necessarily have to be a C corporation. You could elect to be taxed as an S corporation and still be fine. But those are situations where a corporate entity is going to be more preferable to a limited liability company. Does that make sense? And then there's also some benefit plans, retirement plans, things of that sort that will only really work with a corporate entity that don't work as well with an LLC or maybe at all with an LLC. So those are other considerations that you need to think about when you're choosing the proper business entity for your online business. Now, I will say the people that watch my videos, a lot of you are online businesses. You're doing e-commerce, you're doing maybe marketing agencies, maybe you're selling information products online, maybe you're doing some sort of consulting online, things like that. And maybe you're a solopreneur who is a single member LLC you're forming or a single shareholder business, I guess, that you could be forming. And for most of you, I'd say for, again, 99% of you, an LLC is going to be the preferred business entity. There's just so many reasons why an LLC is going to be better for you. There still might be some of you out there that want to do a corporation. That's your call. It's up to you. You can do whatever you want. It's your business, right? All right, so I want to take a time out real quick and talk about a program that I'm working on right now. It's called the Small Business Toolkit. I've talked about this in past videos, and I'm creating this program based on all the feedback I've been receiving from you during the past several months. If you remember, I put a survey out there maybe a month or two ago that I've gotten a ton of responses for, and I really appreciate all the feedback and things that you've shared with me. So I've decided to launch a beta program of this course. It's going to launch next month in February. The idea of running this as a beta is because I want to make sure that the course is going to contain all the tools, information, and checklists and templates and things like that you might need that are really going to help you put your business on a solid legal foundation. And the whole point of running a beta launch like this is to get a limited grouping of students in there who can really give me some feedback. What they like about the course, what they don't like about the course, what I'm doing a really good job on, what I could do a better job on, information that is in the course that might be overkill versus information that they really would like to see more of. Things like that are really going to help when we go to relaunch this course later in the year. Basically, like if you were to say, okay, you know what, I want to go hire a business, I want to go consult with a business lawyer, and I want to go spend an hour or two with them, and I want them to answer all the questions that I have about starting a business, and sit down with them, and I want them to give me all their legal templates and all the checklists they use when they're practicing law, and so I have all that. And that might cost you a couple $1,000s or more to get all that. That's the information that I want to put into this legal small business toolkit that you'll kind of have at your disposal, kind of in your back pocket, so to speak, so that whenever you have a question, you can just go back to this course and use it as a resource throughout your business journey. So if this sounds like something that might be right up your alley, something that you want to be a part of, then you can head on over to hawthornlaw.net/toolkit, and you can sign up to get notified when a beta version of this course launches next month. That is assuming it's still open and available. If you're watching this video in, summer, well, you might need to wait for the relaunch. So I'm really excited to test this program out with a limited grouping of students. I want to figure out what you like, what you don't like, and my goal here is that by the time we're done with this initial beta launch of the course, I'm going to have some testimonials, maybe some case studies, maybe I can do some interviews with some of the students to find out how the course was able to help them, so I can use all that information when I go to relaunch this course later in the year. And if we don't get to that point, it's because the course didn't work, and that's why we do a beta in the first place, and you want to test what you do before you invest a whole lot of time and money into it. So that's kind of what we're doing. But anyway, if you're interested, I appreciate you, and sign up, and we'll see you in the next video. We're going to be talking about qualified business deductions, so check here to check that out. Oh man, this is a long one.